The night erupted in fire as crimson lightning split the sky, scorching the ruins of Aldoria. Elias clenched his fists, his chest heaving as the temple crumbled. "I swore to protect them," Elias said, his voice broken, "but I failed." Flames reflected in his gray eyes, and he turned to see Seraphina, her emerald dress torn, face streaked with ash. She whispered, "You can't fight them alone." The weight of her words shattered him further. Elias reached for her, but the force of a magical blast hurled him back into the debris. The sound of laughter echoed, the villain's voice venomous. "Love will be your undoing, Warlock." Pain and despair consumed Elias as he staggered to his knees, making a silent vow to shield Seraphina even if destiny cursed him for it. His heart burned with forbidden love, his soul chained to a promise forged in fire. Elias dragged himself from the shattered stones, every breath laced with ash. He felt Seraphina's touch on his shoulder, light as trembling leaves. "You can't stand against him, not like this," she whispered. His chest burned with rage. "If I don't stand, no one will," Elias said, pushing himself upright though his legs quivered. Around them, the fires of Aldoria devoured the sacred grounds, swallowing what once was holy. He glanced at her, forbidden warmth in his gaze, and swore to himself again. The laughter of the villain carried through the smoke, a cruel reminder that the night was only beginning. Elias pressed his hand to his chest, promising silently, "I will not lose you." The storm raged louder as Elias pulled Seraphina close, shielding her from falling stone. "Stay behind me," he commanded, his tone raw. She shook her head, eyes fierce despite tears. "I won't leave you," Seraphina said, gripping his arm. For a moment, their eyes locked, the forbidden truth clear between them. The villain's voice cut through. "Love is weakness, Warlock." Elias straightened, pain etched across his face. He whispered under his breath, "Then let weakness be my strength." With trembling resolve, he summoned the first spark of his magic. Gray light forming in his palms, barely steady, but burning with defiance. The temple floor split beneath them, cracks glowing with scarlet veins of cursed magic. Elias grabbed Seraphina's wrist and pulled her away from the edge. "He wants you broken," Elias said, his voice heavy. She clutched his hand tighter. "And you?" she asked, fear and longing entwined in her gaze. Elias faltered, heart pounding. "I promised to protect you, even if it damns me," he whispered. The villain stepped from shadows, smirking as the storm crackled overhead. "Promises shatter as easily as stone," he sneered. Elias' magic wavered, but his resolve hardened, the vow already etched into his soul. The storm's fury reached its peak, as thunder roared and flames twisted around shattered pillars. Elias raised his hand, gray light clashing against the villain's scarlet energy. Sparks burst violently as power collided. Seraphina's cry pierced the chaos. "Don't give in!" Her voice steadied him, even as his strength faltered. Elias shouted, "This ends with me!" His vow hung heavy in the air, louder than the storm itself. The villain laughed, dark and merciless. The battle of love and doom had only begun, but Elias knew one truth: his promise bound him more tightly than any curse. The storm faded into a heavy dawn, its light revealing the ruins drenched in smoke. Elias steadied Seraphina against a broken pillar, his chest aching with exhaustion. "You should leave me," he said through ragged breaths. Her eyes burned as she shook her head. "I will never leave you." For the first time he allowed himself to hold her gaze, the forbidden warmth nearly breaking his resolve. Ash fell like dying snowflakes, softening the devastation around them. Elias clenched his jaw, torn between destiny and desire, knowing every step beside her made him weaker, and yet stronger in ways he feared most. As the ruins smoldered, a cloaked figure emerged from the haze, leaning on a staff etched with runes. Elias tensed, but the figure lowered his hood to reveal an aged face framed by silver hair. It was Kalen, the mentor. "You wield power you do not yet control," Kalen said, his voice deep and steady. Elias glared, torn between respect and defiance. And what would you have me do, old man? Seraphina clutched Elias's arm, sensing both danger and guidance in Kaelin's presence. The elder's eyes softened as he spoke. To protect her, you must first understand yourself. The weight of truth silenced them. Kaelin led them to the edge of the ruins where an ancient oak bent under the storm's fury, but still stood tall. He pressed his staff into the soil. The roots endure, he said. Elias folded his arms, weary. Endurance means nothing if she is taken. Seraphina touched his sleeve gently. You fight for me, but I would fight for you too. Elias' throat tightened at her words. Kaelin's gaze shifted, piercing Elias' soul. Love is both your strength and your downfall. You must choose which it will be. Elias turned away, the conflict burning deeper than any scar. The air thickened as Kaelin raised his staff, revealing glowing symbols on the ruined earth. Elias felt his chest tighten, the magic resonating with his own. Your path is bound by blood and choice, Kaelin declared. Elias' voice shook as he asked, what if my choice damns us all? Seraphina moved closer, her fingers brushing his hand. Then we'll face damnation together, she whispered. The words tore at his resolve, anchoring him to her when he knew destiny demanded distance. Kaelin's eyes narrowed. That bond will be tested. Protect her or let her destroy you. The truth was merciless. Night returned as they sought refuge in a shattered sanctuary, its stained glass windows broken but moonlight streaming through the fragments. Elias sat apart, gray eyes fixed on the floor. Seraphina approached quietly, her shadow overlapping his. You can't carry this alone, she said softly. His voice cracked. If I let you in, I lose what strength I have left. She knelt before him, her hands covering his. Or you find a strength you've never known. For the first time, Elias let silence answer her, his heart surrendering, though his lips did not. Outside, the winds whispered of trials yet to come. The forest swallowed them as Elias guided Seraphina through twisted roots under a sky choked with storm clouds. He kept glancing over his shoulder, his magic dimming from exhaustion. Suddenly, a rustling ahead broke the silence. From the shadows stumbled Rowan, a lean figure clutching a dagger and a satchel. Don't shoot fire at me, Rowan cried nervously, raising his hands. Seraphina tilted her head, puzzled. You don't look like an enemy. Elias frowned. Looks deceive. Rowan smirked despite his fear. Then, it seems I'll fit right in. His tone was light, but his eyes revealed loyalty waiting to be forged. They traveled cautiously, Rowan trailing with half-joking complaints. Of all the people to follow, I choose the man who attracts lightning. Elias glared, his patience thin. Go back if you value your life. Rowan grinned, brushing dirt from his vest. And missed the chance to save the world, tempting but no. Seraphina hid a smile behind her hand. For a brief moment, laughter slipped into their weary path, though the weight of pursuit pressed heavily on Elias' shoulders. He muttered under his breath, foolish courage gets men killed. Rowan overheard and replied cheerfully, then I'll die laughing. As night fell, they reached an abandoned watchtower cloaked in ivy. Elias raised a hand, sensing lingering magic. The shadows deepened, shifting unnaturally. A figure stepped forth, cloaked in silver threads, face obscured but eyes gleaming like molten gold. Seraphina gasped softly. Who are you? The figure bowed slightly. A friend, or an enemy, depending on how you see me. Elias' voice hardened. Speak plainly. The figure chuckled, words smooth as silk. Plain words are wasted on those who cling to vows. Call me Celine. The air thickened with unease, for trust was a fragile thing. Celine moved gracefully, her cloak trailing like smoke as she circled them. Rowan whispered, I don't trust glowing eyes. Seraphina whispered back, she doesn't feel like an enemy. Elias stood still, magic simmering in his palms. Celine smiled knowingly. You burn with promises you cannot keep. Her gaze lingered on Seraphina, unsettling in its intensity. And you, Your heart is tethered to him like a chain. Seraphina flinched, but her hand found Elias. He stiffened, yet did not pull away. Selen's laugh echoed softly. Trust me or don't. Fate doesn't care. Then she vanished into shadow. When silence returned, Rowan exhaled loudly. Wonderful. A mystery wrapped in glowing eyes. Just what we needed. Elias ignored him, staring into the dark where Selene had vanished. His voice was low, grim. She will return. Shadows like her always do. Seraphina placed her hand on his arm, steadying him. Then we'll be ready. For the first time, Elias allowed himself to lean slightly into her touch, though only for a heartbeat. Rowan muttered, ready or dead, either way it'll be memorable. The ruined tower loomed, a silent witness to alliances yet uncertain and dangers drawing ever closer. The air in the watchtower grew colder as Elias sat apart, silent, while Seraphina tried to warm her hands over a weak flame. Rowan paced, muttering about glowing-eyed strangers. Kaelin entered, his staff glowing faintly, eyes fixed on Elias. You are unraveling, he said firmly. Elias looked away, jaw tight. I am holding together what I can. Seraphina's voice trembled as she said, not if you shut us out. The silence stretched heavy until Kaelin added, a bond built in secrecy will always break. Elias clenched his fists, torn between love he craved and destiny pressing like chains on his chest. Tension split the group as Rowan threw his hands up. We're doomed if no one trusts anyone. Seraphina turned on him sharply. You think this is a game? Rowan froze, guilt flashing in his eyes. Elias rose, his voice harsh. He's right. Without trust we're already dead. Kaelin's hand pressed against his staff, calm but firm. Trust is earned. Secrets will bleed us dry. Elias glared into the fire, haunted by Selena's words. Seraphina whispered, almost pleading, then let us stop hiding from one another. But the shadows beyond the firelight stirred, carrying the weight of betrayal yet unseen. A sudden crash shattered the fragile calm. From the broken doorway stepped Darius, once a hero of Aldoria, now cloaked in darkness. His once bright armor was corroded, eyes hollow with torment. Seraphina gasped, her hand to her lips. It can't be. Elias' heart lurched, remembering the brother-in-arms he once admired. Darius smirked bitterly. You thought me dead. No, Elias. I was remade. The air thickened with tension. Rowan muttered, Great. Another nightmare. Kaelin's voice shook with sorrow. Darius, what have you done? The fallen hero's laughter was broken glass, echoing against the stones. I chose survival, not chains. Darius stepped closer, his corrupted armor scraping stone. You clutch promises as if they save you. They don't. Elias' fists trembled, fury rising. You betrayed everything we fought for. Darius' grin was sharp. I chose freedom. Seraphina stepped forward, eyes wet with grief. You were our protector. What happened? Darius' gaze softened for a heartbeat, then hardened again. Love blinded me once, never again. Rowan whispered, blinded by what? Or by who? Darius ignored him, eyes locked on Elias. You'll break as I did. It's only a matter of time. His words sliced deeper than any blade. The storm outside howled as Darius raised his corrupted blade, its edge glowing with scarlet veins of dark magic. Elias summoned gray light to his palms, the clash inevitable. Seraphina cried out, Stop! This isn't who you were. For a moment, Darius' face cracked with pain, but his voice was cold. Who I was is dead. Elias roared, Then I will fight what remains. Rowan stepped back, muttering, We're all about to die. Kaelin lifted his staff, torn between guiding and grieving. Sparks of magic lit the tower walls as past brotherhood and present enmity collided, love caught in between. The clash stilled, the storm quieting as Kaelin struck his staff to the ground, a circle of runes blazing outward. Enough! His voice thundered. Darius froze mid-strike, scarlet light quivering. Elias lowered his palms, his chest heaving. Seraphina's voice broke through, trembling. Why fight when we're already broken? Kaelin's eyes burned with ancient weight. Because the truth has been hidden too long. He turned to Elias, his voice heavy. The promise you made binds more than your heart. It binds the fate of kingdoms. The words rang like a blade, cutting through silence. Elias staggered, shaken to his core. Kaelin's voice deepened as runes flared brighter. Long ago, a prophecy spoke of the Warlock whose love would shatter or save the world. That is you, Elias. Shock rippled through the group. Rowan muttered, Great, no pressure. Elias shook his head violently. I never asked for this. Seraphina's hands trembled as she whispered, Then all this is because of us. Darius sneered bitterly. A prophecy ruined me once. It will ruin you too. Kaelin's gaze darkened. It is not prophecy that destroys us. It is choice. Elias felt the weight crush his soul. His vow was no longer his alone. The storm returned outside, shaking the tower. Selene stepped from the shadows, her silver cloak shimmering. I warned you. Love is a chain, not a gift. Elias turned on her sharply. Then why do you linger? Her golden eyes narrowed. Because I know the truth of chains. Seraphina stepped forward, her voice trembling but fierce. Our bond is not weakness. Selenin's smile was cold. Then prove it before destiny tears it apart. The air thickened as her words echoed. Elias felt his vow twist into something larger, heavier. No longer a promise whispered to Seraphina, but a burden etched into fate itself. Kaelin lowered his staff, his voice heavy with sorrow. To keep your promise, Elias, you must give something greater. Your freedom. Silence struck like thunder. Elias' heart clenched. What do you mean? Kaelin's eyes glistened. The vow you made ties your soul. To protect Seraphina, you must sacrifice your will to fate. Seraphina gasped, her voice breaking. No, he cannot be bound. Darius laughed bitterly. Chains again. We are always bound. Elias stepped back, every breath heavy. His promise now meant surrendering himself entirely. He whispered, If that's the price, then I must pay it. Lightning split the night as Elias fell to his knees, clutching the earth as if it might anchor him. Seraphina dropped beside him, tears streaming. Don't give yourself away for me. Elias' voice was raw. My promise was never about me. It was always about you. Her hand gripped his tightly, defiant. Then I will not let you face this alone. Kaelin turned, pain etched in his features. The prophecy is awake. Every choice from here shapes the end. Darius' hollow laugh echoed. And the end always comes. The storm roared, sealing their revelation with thunder. The ground trembled as the villain's scarlet storm gathered over Aldoria's broken heart, a chasm glowing with molten fire. Elias stood at its edge, gray light flickering in his palms. Seraphina clung to his arm, her eyes pleading. Don't face him alone. Elias' voice was raw. If I fall, you must live. Darius stepped forward, sword blazing red. You will fall as I did. Kaelin lifted his staff, weary but resolute. Stand together, or all is lost. Rowan swallowed hard, muttering. No one mentioned lava. The villain's laughter thundered across the sky, daring Elias to break or rise. The villain emerged in full, his cloak tearing in the wind, face carved with cruel confidence. His hands radiated scarlet fire as he sneered. The promise you cling to will be your grave. Elias raised his hands, gray light blazing stronger than before. It will be my strength. Seraphina moved behind him, whispering, You are not alone. Darius lunged, his blade clashing with Elias' magic, sparks erupting. Rowan hurled a dagger, barely grazing the villain's cloak. Worth a try, he shouted. Kaelin slammed his staff down, runes flaring, but the storm only grew darker. The battlefield shook as gray and scarlet collided, shockwaves tearing through stone. Elias staggered, the weight of prophecy crushing him, but Seraphina's voice steadied his heart. "I believe in you." He drew power deeper, summoning light he had never touched. The villain roared, hurling a storm of red fire. Kalen shielded them with his staff, straining under the force. Rowan dragged Seraphina back from falling rubble. Darius swung again, blade trembling as if torn between rage and regret. For a fleeting moment, Elias glimpsed pain in his eyes, the man he once knew still trapped within. Scarlet fire slammed into Elias, hurling him to his knees. Seraphina rushed to his side, clutching his shoulders. "Stay with me." Elias gasped. "If I fall, keep the vow alive." She shook her head violently. "I won't live without you." The villain's laughter cut through the storm. "And there lies your doom." Darius hesitated, sword raised, his jaw trembling. Kalen shouted, "Choose, Darius. You are not lost." For the first time, the fallen hero's blade wavered. Rowan shouted over the chaos, "Any time would be great for a change of heart." The battlefield held its breath for his choice. Lightning split the heavens as Elias rose again, every vein burning with gray fire. He screamed, unleashing a torrent that clashed with the villain's scarlet storm. Seraphina clung to him, whispering words of love through the chaos. Darius roared, striking at the villain instead, his blade shaking with redemption. Kalen's staff flared, amplifying Elias's magic. Rowan darted between falling stones, pulling Seraphina back from the edge. With one last cry, Elias poured his soul into the promise. "I will protect her, even if it costs me everything." The clash erupted in blinding light, shaking the world itself. When the light faded, silence reigned. The battlefield lay broken, the storm finally gone. Elias collapsed to his knees, gray fire dimming from his hands. Seraphina rushed to him, pressing her hands against his chest. "Stay with me." His breath was ragged, his eyes heavy. The promise is kept. Behind them, the villain's body dissolved into ash, his laughter silenced forever. Rowan limped over, muttering, "I never want to see lightning again." Kalen lowered his staff, tears glistening in his weary eyes. Darius stood apart, sword shattered, shame carved into his scarred face as he turned away. Seraphina cradled Elias's face, her tears falling onto his cheeks. "You gave everything. I cannot lose you now." His lips curved faintly, his voice a whisper. "I promised you, always." Kalen stepped closer, his hand hovering above Elias. There is still time, but the cost will be his strength. Elias closed his eyes, his body trembling. "If it saves her, take it." Seraphina shook her head fiercely. "No, don't sacrifice yourself again." Rowan stood silent for once, his usual humor gone, eyes fixed on Elias like a brother refusing to watch him fade. The choice hovered, heavy as fate. Kalen's staff glowed, runes swirling as he whispered ancient words. Energy poured into Elias, his body convulsing. Seraphina held tighter, whispering his name over and over. Darius approached slowly, shadows in his eyes. "You fight with love. I fought with hate. Look what it made me." His voice cracked with regret. Elias' eyes flickered open briefly, meeting Darius. "You can still choose." Darius dropped the broken sword, falling to his knees. "Then let me bear my share." For the first time, the fallen hero bowed, his shame heavy, but his choice clear. Redemption sparked faintly in the ruins. The runes faded as Elias drew a steady breath, strength returning though faint. Seraphina kissed his forehead, relief flooding her. Kalen sank to the ground, exhausted but smiling. Rowan muttered, "If anyone asks, I fought bravely, right?" For once, even Seraphina laughed through tears. Darius stood shakily, his eyes on Elias. "I cannot undo the past, but I can walk a different path." Elias nodded weakly. "Then walk it with honor." The rising sun broke through the clouds, bathing the battlefield in gold. The night of despair was over, but the scars would remain as reminders. Later, as the sun climbed, Elias and Seraphina stood at the cliff above the ruins. The wind carried the scent of ash, but also hope. Seraphina leaned against him, whispering, "Your promise saved us all." Elias held her close, his gray eyes soft. "No, you saved me." Their lips brushed in a fragile, lingering kiss, the world momentarily forgotten. Behind them, Kalen rested against his staff. Rowan whistled softly, and Darius walked away into the horizon, seeking redemption. The sky blazed with light, marking the dawn of a new fate. The Warlock's promise had been kept, and love endured.